Listen, sweetheart, this is a men's tournament and you clearly don't belong here. The gym owner crosses his arms as 25-year-old Alex Morrison stands at the registration table for the Underground Combat Tournament, her small frame and quiet demeanor making every fighter in the room smirk. Behind him, 12 of the toughest street fighters in the city are warming up, placing bets on who will win the $10,000 prize. Completely unaware that Alex spent the last 4 years as an Army combatives instructor, teaching hand-to-hand combat to Special Forces operators. Before we see what happens, smash that subscribe button if you love watching underdogs prove everyone wrong. And drop a comment telling us about the biggest surprise you ever witnessed in a competition. Alex needed the money. That was the only reason she was standing in this basement gym on the south side of Chicago at 11 o'clock on a Friday night. Her landlord had given her until Monday to come up with 3 months of back rent or she was out on the street. Her part-time job at the bookstore barely covered food, and the VA benefits took forever to process. Then she saw the flyer at the gym where she trained. Underground tournament. No rules. Last person standing wins $10,000. It was exactly the kind of thing she normally avoided. Too much attention. Too many questions about where she learned to fight. But $10,000 would solve all her problems. The gym was in an old warehouse that had been converted into a training space decades ago. Concrete floors, heavy bags hanging from exposed beams, a fighting cage in the center that had seen better days. The air smelled like sweat and metal. Alex walked in wearing plain black workout clothes and her hair tied back. She looked around at the other fighters. All men, all bigger than her, most of them covered in tattoos, scars, the kind of wear that came from years of street fighting and bar brawls. They looked at her like she was lost. The gym owner, a thick man in his 50s named Vic, was taking registration fees at a folding table. Each fighter had to put up $500 to enter. Winner takes the full pot plus the house money. Vic looked up when Alex approached and actually laughed. "You looking for the kickboxing class?" he asked. "That's on Tuesdays." Alex pulled out an envelope with $500 in cash, all the money she had left in the world. "I'm here for the tournament." Vic stopped laughing. He looked at the money, then at her. "You serious right now?" Yes, behind her, some of the fighters had noticed the exchange. One of them, a massive guy with a shaved head and neck tattoos, walked over. "Vic, you can't be serious. You're letting her fight." Vic looked uncomfortable. "Look, miss, I appreciate the enthusiasm, but this isn't that kind of event. These guys don't pull punches. People get hurt. I can't have that liability." Alex kept her voice calm. "Your flyer says no rules. Last person standing wins. Doesn't say anything about gender restrictions." Another fighter joined them. This one was leaner, but had the look of someone who knew how to move. "This is ridiculous," he said. "Someone's going to hurt her in the first 30 seconds, and then we're all dealing with cops and lawyers." Alex looked at each of them. "I can handle myself." The bald fighter with the neck tattoos laughed. "Sweetheart, the smallest guy here has 40 pounds on you. This isn't some movie where the tiny girl beats up grown men. This is real life." Vic was about to refuse her entry when another voice cut through the conversation. "Let her fight." Everyone turned. In the corner of the gym, sitting on a bench, was an older man named Eddie. He was a legend in the underground fighting scene, former boxer who had trained champions. He ran a gym across town and rarely showed up to these events anymore. But when he spoke, people listened. Eddie stood up and walked over. "You want to fight?" he asked Alex. "Yes, you know what you're getting into?" Alex nodded. Eddie studied her for a long moment. Something in her eyes told him there was more to this woman than appeared. "All right then. Let her fight. She puts up her money like everyone else. What happens after that is her business." Vic shrugged. "Fine, but don't say I didn't warn you." He took Alex's money and added her name to the bracket. "You're fighter number 12. First match starts in 20 minutes. The tournament format was simple. 12 fighters. Single elimination bracket. 3-minute rounds. No time limit. Fight until someone taps out, gets knocked out, or can't continue. Minimal rules. No eye gouging, no groin strikes. Everything else was fair game. Alex found a quiet corner to warm up. She could feel every fighter in the room watching her. Some were laughing. Others looked annoyed that she was wasting their time. A few looked genuinely concerned that she was about to get seriously hurt. None of them knew who she really was. Alex had joined the army right out of high school. She was small, fast, and had been training in martial arts since she was 8 years old. The recruiters loved her test scores and her determination. She went through basic training, got assigned to Fort Benning, and then something unexpected happened. She got recruited into the Modern Army Combatives program, not as a student, as an instructor. For 4 years, Alex taught hand-to-hand combat to some of the most dangerous soldiers in the military: Rangers, Special Forces, Delta operators. She developed training programs, ran live sparring sessions, and competed in military tournaments against fighters twice her size. She earned her black belt in combatives and became one of the youngest Level 4 certified instructors in the program. She knew every joint lock, every submission, every strike that could end a fight in seconds. And she had used them for real during deployment in situations where weapons weren't an option. But nobody here knew any of that. They just saw a small woman who looked out of place. The first fight started. Two big guys went at each other hard and fast. Lots of power, not much technique. One of them caught a solid hook to the jaw and went down. Fight over in 90 seconds. The crowd cheered. Money changed hands as bets were settled. 3 more fights happened, each one brutal and quick. Broken noses, split lips. One guy dislocated his shoulder and had to forfeit. Then they called Alex's name. The entire gym went quiet when she stepped into the cage. Her opponent was the lean fighter who had tried to keep her from entering. His name was Marcus, and he had a reputation for being fast and technical. He looked across the cage at Alex and shook his head. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. "Just stay down when I take you down and this will be over quick." Alex said nothing. She just moved to her corner and waited for the bell. When it rang, Marcus came forward cautiously. He was a striker, preferring to keep distance and pick apart opponents with combinations. He threw a few jabs to test her reaction. Alex slipped them easily. Her movement was minimal, efficient. She didn't waste energy. Marcus frowned and threw a harder combination. Jab, cross, hook. Alex blocked the first 2 and stepped inside the hook. Before Marcus could reset, she had grabbed his extended arm and dropped her weight, pulling him off balance. She transitioned smoothly into an armbar, controlling his elbow joint. Marcus felt the pressure immediately and tried to power out of it. But Alex had the position locked. She applied pressure slowly, giving him a chance to tap. He tapped. The whole thing took 15 seconds. The gym exploded in shocked silence. Then someone started laughing in disbelief. What the hell just happened? Vic stared at the cage. Did she just submit Marcus? Marcus, who's been training for 6 years. Alex released the armbar and stood up. Marcus rolled away, holding his arm and looking completely stunned. She just nodded at him and walked back to her corner. Eddie, the old boxer in the corner, was smiling. The next fight was called, but now everyone was talking about Alex. Who is she? Where did she learn that? Did you see how fast that was? Bets started shifting. Some people still thought she got lucky. Others weren't so sure anymore. Alex's second fight was against the bald guy with neck tattoos. His name was Dimitri and he was a brawler. Pure aggression and power. He had knocked out his first opponent with a single punch. When they stepped into the cage, Dimitri looked angry. "You got lucky last time," he said. "That's not happening again." The bell rang and Dimitri charged forward like a truck. He threw a massive overhand right that would have ended the fight if it landed. Alex wasn't there. She had already moved off the center line. As Dimitri's momentum carried him forward, she stepped behind him and took his back. Her legs wrapped around his waist. Her arms slid under his chin in a rear naked choke. Dimitri was strong. He tried to pull her arm away, tried to slam her against the cage. But Alex had the choke locked in deep. She squeezed steadily, cutting off blood flow to his brain. 10 seconds later, Dimitri went limp. Alex released immediately and stepped back. The referee checked him and waved for medical attention. Dimitri came to a few seconds later, confused and embarrassed. Alex had just choked out a man who outweighed her by 90 pounds. Now the gym was silent for a different reason. This wasn't luck. This was skill. High-level, dangerous skill. The semi-finals were next. Alex faced a fighter named Tony, who had been watching her carefully. He was a wrestler with good ground skills. He wasn't going to rush in like the others. The fight lasted longer. 2 minutes of careful positioning and scrambles. Tony managed to take Alex down twice, but she escaped both times using techniques that made Eddie nod in approval from the sidelines. Finally, Alex caught Tony in a triangle choke from the bottom position. He tapped after 20 seconds of struggling. That put Alex in the finals. Her opponent was a fighter named Crane. He was the favorite to win the whole tournament. 6'2", 215 pounds of muscle. He had won this tournament twice before. He had training in multiple disciplines and a record of never being submitted. Crane looked across the cage at Alex, and for the first time that night, someone looked at her with respect instead of dismissal. "You're good," he said. "Better than anyone expected. But I've been doing this for 10 years. Don't take this personally." Alex just nodded. The final bell rang. Crane came forward smart and measured. He knew Alex was dangerous on the ground, so he kept his distance and used his reach advantage. He landed a few solid leg kicks that Alex absorbed without reaction. Alex waited patiently. She knew fighters like Crane, confident, experienced. They would eventually make a mistake because they thought they had seen everything. 3 minutes into the fight, Crane threw a head kick. It was fast and well executed, but Alex had been waiting for it. She caught his leg, swept his standing leg, and took him down hard. The scramble that followed was technical and brutal. Crane defended well, but Alex was relentless. She transitioned from position to position, always staying one step ahead of his defenses. Finally, she locked in a modified armbar that Crane had never seen before. It was a technique she had developed while teaching Special Forces soldiers. Military combatives designed for battlefield situations where you needed to control someone immediately. Crane felt his elbow joint hyperextend. The pain was instant and severe. He tapped frantically. Alex released and stood up. The gym erupted. Half the crowd was celebrating. The other half was staring in disbelief. The favorite had just been beaten by someone nobody had ever heard of. Vic walked into the cage and raised Alex's hand. Winner by submission. He handed her an envelope with $10,000 in cash. Alex took the money and immediately walked toward the exit, but Eddie intercepted her. "Hold up," he said. "You don't just walk out after that without telling us who you are." Alex hesitated. "I was Army Combatives instructor. Taught hand-to-hand combat for 4 years. I got out 8 months ago." Eddie's eyes widened. "You taught military combatives? To who?" "Special operations, mostly. Rangers, SF, anyone who needed advanced training." Eddie started laughing. "So you're telling me these guys just spent the last 2 hours getting destroyed by someone who literally trained the most dangerous soldiers in the world?" Alex shrugged. "I needed the rent money." Eddie was still laughing. "Kid, you could be making 10 times what you made tonight teaching seminars. Fighters would pay good money to learn what you just showed us." Alex hadn't thought about that. She had been so focused on just surviving, on finding whatever work she could, that she hadn't considered using her actual skills. "You serious?" she asked, dead serious. Eddie pulled out a card. "Come by my gym Monday. We'll talk business. You could be teaching classes by next week." Alex took the card. She looked at the envelope of cash in her hand. It would cover her rent, buy her some time, but Eddie's offer might give her something more important. A real future. She nodded. "They'll be there." As she walked out of the gym, she could still hear the fighters talking behind her, trying to figure out how someone so small had taken down everyone in the room, replaying the fights in their minds, and still not quite believing what they had seen. Alex didn't care about their reactions. She had done what she came to do. But as she drove home that night, she thought about Eddie's offer, about the possibility of actually using her skills to build something instead of just hiding them. Maybe leaving the army didn't mean leaving behind everything she had learned. Maybe it just meant finding a new way to use it. 3 months later, Alex was running her own combatives program out of Eddie's gym. She taught classes 5 nights a week to fighters, law enforcement, and anyone serious about learning real defensive skills. Word spread fast about the small instructor, who could submit guys twice her size. She never talked much about her military background, unless someone asked directly. She just showed up, taught what she knew, and let her skills speak for themselves. And every time a new student looked at her with doubt or skepticism, she would smile slightly. Because she knew exactly how that story ended, the same way it always ended, with them on the ground wondering what just happened.